there, Ospreys. Welcome to another edition of Inside Swoop Scoop. I'm Em Rolls.
And I'm Austin White. Here are some of the stories we've been following this past week from around the world.
Following Jimmy Kimmel's suspension from ABC on Wednesday, discourse surrounding free speech, FCC licensing, and public interest has ignited. FCC Chair Brendan Carr threatened ABC following Kimmel's comments about the MAGA movement's response to Charlie Kirk's death. When asked about free speech concerns, President Donald Trump said that Kimmel is not talented and his show had poor ratings. Kimmel's late night had actually been holding on to a large key audience despite the declining TV viewership trend. Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut spoke about this concern.
In the wake of the tragic murder of Charlie Kirk, has decided to exploit that tragedy to try to silence his political opponents. I think Kimmel is just the beginning.
The discourse that ensued following Kimmel's suspension is still ongoing, and the division between right and left seems to be a worsening issue after many recent events.
The federal government is expected to run out of funding on September 30th, meaning another possible shutdown. Both parties are attempting to pass their own resolutions, but are having trouble passing a mutual version. The Senate is set to vote on both bills today, hopefully deciding on a combination of the both. Republicans are blaming Democrats for an impeding shutdown, but Democrats are saying that the Republicans refuse to have a bipartisan negotiation about the spending bill. Many believe that the Democrats in the Senate will fold to avoid a shutdown, but only time will tell.
The Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices is voting today on making changes to the schedule of children's vaccines. The panel is made up of brand new picks by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. The panel has already voted against recommending the MMRV vaccine to children under 4 and instead recommending a separate vaccine for chickenpox. The panel's voting still needs to be approved by the U.S. Director of the CDC, but without a permanent director in place, Kennedy could be the one to give the okay. The panel chair challenged former CDC leaders in response to criticism that the entire panel is anti-vax.
I suggest that you should only trust scientists that are willing to debate fellow scientists with different views. I hereby invite each of the 9 former CDC directors to have a live public debate with me concerning vaccines.
Medical experts warn that immunizations are a complex topic, not simple enough to be settled through a public debate. COVID-19 vaccines and hepatitis B vaccine recommendations for fall are also expected to be discussed during the panel meeting.
President Trump is headed back to the States following an extravagant second visit in the UK. On Wednesday, the King and Queen welcomed Trump with an extravagant royal parade. President Trump then sat down with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Thursday to discuss trade deals and mutually sign a tech prosperity deal that would advance AI, quantum computing, and nuclear energy. In the UK, U.S. investments as well. There was then a joint conference held to answer questions on other world topics prior to Trump's departure.
A very strange robbery occurred on Disney Springs property, possibly utilizing scuba gear and an elaborate underwater escape. In an image released by authorities, a man looking to be dressed in scuba gear was seen aboard a floating restaurant. According to reports, he climbed aboard, tied up 2 employees, stole between $10,000 to $20,000, and escaped using his scuba gear. The investigation is still undergoing, but this seems to be a case straight out of a movie.
While this next story isn't a heist straight out of a cartoon, it's still hard to believe. The world record for the tallest sunflower has been set in the U.S., and you won't believe a flower could reach those heights.
This record-breaking flower isn't just tall, it's also a big tribute to the gardener's original homeland of Ukraine. Our Inside Swoop recorder, Crystal Branch, joins us now to fill us in on rather large details.
Alex Babbitt immigrated from Ukraine in 1991 and settled in the town of Fort Wayne, Indiana. He then started an organic garden to teach his kids about growing food and harvest. Then 7 years ago, he grew up his first sunflower. These weren't just any flowers to Babbitt. Sunflowers are the national flower of Ukraine. Each time he grew one, they beat the previous years of height and some U.S. records this year. Babbitt wanted to surpass a height of 30 feet. He wasn't so sure of his skills, but he still made a promise to his wife to try. Well, that must have worked because his record-breaking sunflower measured up at 35 feet and 9 inches last week.
A lot of people want to know how I did it. As far as the fertilizer, I grow organic. It's a lot of composting. But the recipe itself, it's like a family heirloom now.
Abic is now waiting to hear from Genesis World Records as they process all of his documents. He is hoping to have an official announcement from them soon. Well, that's all I have for you on this story. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Crystal. The last story broke a world record, but this one might just set some for the slowest relocation ever.
That's right, Austin. This relocation was only about the length of a football field, and you won't believe how long it took to plan. The world's oldest and most well-preserved Viking ship, the Ausenberg, was found in 1904. After scientists realized the ship was quickly deteriorating due to climate, they decided that it needed to be moved to a more controlled area. The logistical planning took 10 years, and the actual move took 10 hours to complete due to fragility. Now, 2 more vessels also need to be moved, but these fragile boats may even need another decade of planning.
In other slow restoration news, a Tennessee state park has bought a monarch butterfly habitat brought back to life, hoping to help their dwindling numbers. While native grasslands disappear from all over the country, Radnor Lake State Park has been working for 12 years to restore a natural habitat for migrating monarchs. Monarchs migrate hundreds of miles each year, and many do not make the treacherous journey without good rest stops. Rangers at the park say that they want to preserve this species for the future generations and teach people about them. They are hoping that they will stop here annually on their journey and grow in numbers soon.
And finally, we're sticking with the animal-loving theme for this last one, but this time with a Florida woman twist. Chris Hurst gives us a story.
Lazy slug.
4-month-old Dax probably has no idea his owner, Danny Wright,
But anyone would do it.
saved his life last week.
But we've never seen an alligator back here.
She took Dax behind her house in Land O'Lakes and walked along this stagnant creek.
I heard a squeal, and I got pulled. So the alligator had him by his air tag and drags him.
She says an alligator bit Dax's collar and dragged him into the water. Then Wright fought back.
And I just punched and punched and punched, and I punched him in the eye enough that he kind of let go, like he unclamped a little, and I pulled out, but his teeth were like here and just drug down my arm.
It may look like algae or maybe even astroturf, but it's actually floating water moss, and it provided a great cover for that 5-foot gator.
Soon trappers and FWC
I can't even believe this happened to my life today.
came and caught the gator.
I freaking fought an alligator and won.
Wright recording it safely inside her porch.
Be careful with your dogs, you know, these alligators are no joke. I mean, 15 feet he came out to get him, and I didn't see him.
And she has a reminder for dog owners to avoid taking them anywhere close to water.
I learned to be more alert. Constantly walk around. I'm looking at my phone all the time. Leave your phone at home, you know. Pay attention.
Because you never know what might be lurking. But in Florida, if it's wet, you can bet a gator.
Well, thanks for joining us for another edition of Inside Swoop Scoop. I'm Em Rolls.
And I'm Austin White. We'll see you next time with more news from around the world.